streaming to you from motherfucking Pegasus House in Las Vegas, where I live with AZD. You don't know who AZD is? That's your loss, but I'll tell you a little bit. Meeting is now streaming online. Yes, sir. AZD, foremost expert on relationships and dating for men on Earth. Probably in Milky Way also, as far as Earthlings go. And that's the man with, the answers when it comes to dating and seduction, relationships, and underneath all of that, communication skills, mindset. It sounds ridiculous. I can't overemphasize. What does that mean? I can't overemphasize. Like, I couldn't say it enough how important imagination is. And it sounds like you have been conditioned to think imagination is so childish, it's so irresponsible, it's so useless. I don't know. You've been taught to disregard the idea of imagination. Maybe you think sometimes it's worth being creative, but I'm talking about always. When is it not useful to use your imagination? Oh, here's when. It's when your imagination, you ready, Tony? It's when your imagination is using you. That's when it's not a good time to use your imagination. Your imagination's using you. You're not even using your imagination. So people are mistaking the use of imagination for their minds are taking them for a ride, and they're going on a whole emotional thing, worrying or sad or whatever, because their imagination's gotten carried away from them. By what? By who? That's a whole different subject. Right now, we're just talking about dating hired guns. We have an event with AZD tomorrow. It's actually him and his girlfriend, and he has many girlfriends, but we don't really need to harp on that too much. But he has multiple relationships. And one of the newer girlfriends, who's a top hired gun at one of the top clubs in one of the top cities for clubbing in the world, is one of his new girlfriends. So she'll be there at the event, and they'll be answering questions. It'll be great because, and I realize this, I've done this enough. I've done several events with AZD, several, like over 100. And I've realized this, that a lot of times the guys, when they ask questions and they present the question, it's not in a format. It's not in a form. It's not written or worded in a way that you would want to say it. It's not written or in a way that you would want to ask your girl that. The way it is, like, what would be an example? It would be like, some guy says, does it hurt to have big titties? He might say that. That might be his legitimate question. He's a paying customer. And he might say, does it hurt to something ridiculous? And you'd have to turn and say, okay, some individuals are wondering if there's any discomfort in being, well endowed. You know what I mean? You're big breasted. You got big tits. Does that have hazards? What are the hazards of that for you? It's presented in a way that a beautiful woman would more readily hear that. The other way, it sounds so dorky, and like, you might as well do an OnlyFans. She might as well just open up an OnlyFans, and because that's the quality of guys that are asking. But that's not the quality of IMC guys. It's just people need to learn how to talk better. You need to learn how to word things better. Understand that the meanings, man, this is so powerful. This is literally, why I don't podcast so much anymore? Is because it's literally pearl before swine. You know what that means? Now, not you guys that are members of IMC Nation, you're not swine. You're maybe younglings in the philosophy. Maybe you're slightly more advanced. It depends on a lot of different content. How old are you? What experiences you've gone through life? What have you studied? And a lot of times, other things that you study just actually get in the way. They make this journey longer that you've learned some other shit. But this is not pro before your swine. But it's like, I'm going to say things, and I'm talking specifically to the Zoom guys, because everybody else is just like, what are you going to get from what I'm about to say? Which I have made myself forget at this point. What was I saying? Wording. So guys got to learn how to word things. Okay, here it is. The meaning of words, you're going to agree. You're going to be like, yeah, I already knew that. But I'm telling you, you're not speaking in a way that suggests that you know it. Or you're not learning game and relationship dynamics in a way that suggests you know what I'm about to say. So here, I'll say it. The meaning of words, it's much more than just the definitions of the words themselves. I get it. The tonality, the delivery, the body language, all of that adds. If I say, fuck you, versus I say, fuck you, versus I say, fuck you. Like, versus I say, fuck you. Like, the tonality in the face changes it slightly. Now, how many different ways can I say fuck you? You can even say it in a way where you're flirting with a girl and she interprets it as I love you. Or I'm so attracted to you. That would be the literal statement of what I'm experiencing. You're so fine to me. And instead you say, fuck you. But the tonality, so obviously the meaning of words is so much influenced by body, tonality, etc., speed. But what I'm saying is the definitions of the words changes depending on the context you use it in, the sentence structure, the whatever language you're in, the sentence structure changes the meanings of the words, even if you use all the same words. Even to the point where if you use the same words in close to the same order so that it's pretty much everyone can agree you're saying the same thing. You're not changing what you're saying. You're just barely changing the words. Like one word inserted, like the word the or something. Most people will hear the same message, but that actually changes the meaning of the whole sentence. You can't introduce a word without changing the meaning of what's being said. And if you can, then it's because whatever's being said is super vague and low value. It's noise, basically. It's not even information. It's an incoherent sentence. You add another word, it's still incoherent. You didn't drop the value of it. It was already at the bottom. But to any sentence that has meaning, that's really conveying something that should be, that changes the mind of the person listening. Like, information is supposed to be transmitted. If you're saying something that's not making a difference to anybody, what are you saying? In those kinds of sentences, change any word, you change the meaning of it. Introduce even a comma, you change the meaning of the sentence. Quotation marks, a question mark changes, just change the period to a question mark, the whole meaning, man. So these guys will submit questions. AZD will ask his girlfriend. He'll translate the words of what's asked so that it can be better received by the girl. And then you'll get a better answer. He'll help you get the answer to your question. He knows your psychology more than you do. He'll know what you're really asking. And if he doesn't, then so be it. You didn't ask really you didn't word exactly literally what you wanted to know. But that's fine. Put some time into it. It doesn't matter. He's still going to have to upgrade your question. He's probably not going to word, or he'll word it exactly how you worded it. And then boom, confirmation through a 10, who's his girlfriend. You'll get the response to your question as if you'd asked her, and you get a confirmation from the universe. That's the difference between the theories of game and the books and everything versus go and talk to a woman and then really go and talk to women and then really go and talk to women in the same room at the same time. And then, of course, really make them super beautiful and whatever. And then you get a echolocation of the real value of what you're saying. If it's accepted or not. You get multiple points of almost like a triangulation. You get like located. And that's what we're doing here. We're on this mission. We're in Las Vegas. We have the remedies and the recipes for curing the ailment of men. Men the world over are hypnotized by the hex of women. And they're so hypnotized. It's not just like 30 minutes ago I hypnotized them. It's like since birth, since before birth, when they were in the womb, the sounds, the conversations, the words, everything the woman was going through was imbuing the baby with a hex. That's why in the ancient Christianity or whatever, they'd say the child is born into sin. Sin is, I don't need to get into it. Whatever. That's a whole, it's a language that's hiding what's really being said. There are truths that have just been cloaked in a language that distorts your perceptions. Okay, I'll buy it. How can I send my question? Just by email? Any means that you have communication with me. Email slowest. So I wouldn't use email for that. But the link, I've posted it. If you were an alumni of the last event, was called Alpha Attraction. There's a little discount in there. Otherwise, it's $97 is the early bird, and the event is tomorrow at 6 p.m. So in about 28 hours. Yeah, convert to your time. And you get the recording. And then just any means that you have to me, because what I'll probably get is some guys will submit 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, blah, blah, blah. I'll group them all together. There'll be some common questions that we can just do like that. And you'll hear your question, the gist of it. You know what the word gist means? It's like the kind of the general idea of something. The general idea of that group of, let's say a bunch of guys ask, what's your schedule as a dancer? What's a regular schedule as a Vegas dancer? Monday through Sunday. Is it every day the same? Is it different? You know, we might get different versions of that same question, and then the question will be asked. And then you'll hear how he asked your question. There'll be other questions you may ask that will be totally unique to you. Like, I don't know, do tall girls go for redhead men? I don't know. Whatever your specific question is that nobody else is going to ask, you know, that'll be put in the pot. And you know, if there are so many, imagine 100 guys sign up for the event, we might not get to every question. So selective like that. But if I'm the guy in charge of that, you know, I'll be as fair as I can be to everybody so that the value is there, but also the guy who's paying gets it. And if a guy pays and he submits garbage questions, then he needs a lot of help with game. And $97 is the least that you can donate for this. Pay attention. Pay attention to all the other questions that were better than that question. And it's a learning experience throughout. Very ethical business. Man. So, you'll hear him translate the questions. You'll get the answers to the questions. And then you really get to hack everything. Just observe these things like you're hacking the man-woman interaction. You know, she's younger than him. He has multiple relationships. How is she respecting him? How is he showing affection and love? It's a real event, dude. It's really his girlfriend. It's like, you know, it's really like seduction doesn't have to be thought of as a bad thing. It's you want the other person to be charmed by you and to be attracted to you and want to love on you and like and trust you and feel safe with you. The problem with the word seduction is people think it's not safe. Well, that would be some fucked up seduction, right? Yeah, I get it. But seduction, if you were righteous, you would still need to seduce the person because you need them to want to be with you if they're going to be with you. There's no other way to do it. So you're still going to have to seduce them. So seduction doesn't have to be bad. You can do it righteous. And who's to say if it's righteous or not? Let it be said that there's a man who has seduced so many beautiful women that it is really hard to say much against it if you disagree ever, because it's just, I know your ideas, your success comes from your ideas. Your ideas, you act them out or you speak them out, or you just hold them in and then you never act and speak them out, and then they're not even worth talking about. So the ideas that are worth talking about are the ones that you speak out, that you act out, you do something, you make a decision, you change how you decide about somebody, and then you stop acting that way with them. And that those actions and how you communicate with the people, that's going to result in where it goes. Do you have a friendship, a relationship, a sexual relationship, multiple relationships? It's how you communicated with those people. And so your idea, and then when we talk about like a successful relationship, like what is that? Can we measure a successful relationship? I think that there's going to be some agreed on things, you know, successful. You could talk about happiness or the love that's there or the genuine care, the trust. It gets a little more complicated to say the quality of communication, the bond, even the longevity, and then of course the quality of the individuals, which it becomes very subjective. But when we really start introducing all of the other variables, like let's say you may not like AZD's all heavily tatted, and somehow certain other organizations of men have affiliated themselves with him because of his toughness and his ability to communicate, and it's just not toughness is the wrong word. It makes it sound like all physical or whatever. It's just the mental toughness, an ability to communicate. And, so they might not they may think that's low value. Like maybe some parents out there of students or whatever be like, that piece of trash with his eyelids tattooed and everywhere faces and his ears and blah, blah, blah. But you may be missing all of the other men, grown men, who are making it in this world. And I know that's difficult. It's easy maybe once you've figured it out, but the new levels bring new devils. There's difficulties at that level. That if you don't have the internal structure to handle that, then you'll be demoted. Life will demote you to the lower level. You deserve whatever level you're at. And that's the humbling, I sent it to your Telegram, our chat payment in question. Right on, right on. So Kalev is in it. So I was saying, the men of Earth, the hex of Earth, like that's what we're doing. And so to see the seduction, it could be righteous. Like you want it, you want the woman. So when you're seeing, there we go. When the ideas, see, I just followed the chain of ideas to get back to my thought. I just started with wherever I could remember and build from there. Build a bear. Build a thought. So your thoughts come out as actions and speech, and that is going to result in the relationships that you have. Fucked up speech, you get fucked up relationships or no relationships at all. You know what I mean? And so the success of your ideas gets lived out in your relationships. You could see the success of someone's ideas by how the success of their relationships. Okay, the success of their ideas. Okay, like, so maybe, okay, oh, that's what I was saying. ADD, low value because of how he looks and whatever. You just got to look at the quality of men. It's not easy to make it in the world, to be good looking, to be handsome, to be fit, to be involved with life, to be an entrepreneur, and what's really difficult for people to measure, to live with other guys harmoniously, with strength, to continually grow and develop one's ability to communicate and handle life. People seem like they're handling life, but that's because they completely contorted their entire existence to fit their job and their task and their family relationships. And so put them outside of that situation and they're so unevolved, they're practically hairless chimpanzees that learned a lot of language. Like the dynamics that we experience. You know how that old Einstein saying, so to speak, I think it was Einstein, he said, like, put your hand on a hot stove for a minute and tell me how long it is. I forget the quote. And he's like, and then hang out with a pretty girl of your dreams for an hour and tell me how short it was. And then he's like, see, time is irrelevant. Time is relative. So the experience and the experience of time and life, you live for 100 years, that's time. The experience of time and the experience of life, like what is life experience? What does that mean? You get a lot of it interacting with women that you like, or just women, really. But and women that you like, I mean, I don't mean to make it sound so like emotional or whatever. Just like definitely not hanging out with women that you don't like. Let's just put it like that. You know what I mean? How much you like them, it's up to you. You develop relationships with them, you might really like them. I lived to 350. Yeah, so that 350 could feel very short if you had a lot of love, and it could feel like forever if you had no love, if you had no admiration, if you had no people that you were fond with, then that time could go on forever. Now, you may find that connection with trees and animals and clouds and whatever. Cool. That is definitely exiting the game of life. That's not the game of man, woman, humans that populate the earth and have tribes and communities or whatever. Good luck trying to live like that in a tribe. You pretty much have to be an ascetic, just leave society and go out in the forest to do that. Or just somehow tuck yourself away in a giant mansion and you have one assistant that brings you all your food and supplies and whatever, and you just meditate all day. Admirable. I fucking am in love with that lifestyle. That's Autobiography of a Yogi lifestyle. But in the game of life, I realized that more tangibly, I saw in the spiritual community a lot of people that were spiritual and quote spiritual, but they seemed to live in a lot of suffering, and their relationships suffered, and they didn't know how to have relationships and communicate. And, they benefited people in the sense that they could transfer spiritual practices, but it seemed like the direct karma of being just in a relationship with them in whatever way, as a friend, as a partner, a lover, or whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, that they weren't good on that level. And so the value that they transferred to their students and everybody that knew them was pretty limited to the yoga or the tai chi or the meditation technique or whatever their skill was that was passed down from the ages, which were valuable skills. But that's, again, that you might as well be an engineer or be a lawyer or be a janitor or whatever. Measure your value based on the skill that you offer. That's what that is, versus being a yogi or being a man of God or being spiritual, so that your beingness is the value, not your technique. Like a lot of guys would say, I want to help the world. It's really gay, honestly. It's like what women say. I want to help the world. But bro, if you are righteous, could you help but helping the world? You don't need to go and leave where you are to go do something else, save the turtles or clean up Africa or something, that to help people. If you're a righteous man that does right, then interact with your neighbor, talk to your mom, you fucking clean up after your dog. Everything that interacts with you is being helped. And if you're going to say, well, I could do more if I helped those people or these people or those people, okay, you may have a calling, like you want to, I don't know, go into politics or something, or like me, why the difference between have a wife and have a kid versus help the world through this? I wouldn't be able to help the world remove the hex of women. And I see the evil that the female has been allowed to do through the overlords, whatever, it doesn't matter. The people of the planet that have set up the culture and media and everything, feminism and all that garbage. We all know it's garbage, but we're still under the hex to various levels. The blue pill, red pill is not just you take the red pill and you're fully woken up. You got to still be learning more and more. There's so many layers. You don't even know where you have taken the blue pill. And on relationships and dating, that is a deep, 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 deep pill. It goes all the way to the DNA inside of every cell. That the DNA is natural unless it's been manipulated by whatever, which it has. And then there's all the information on top of that, of the culture and education and everything, and just how it's modeled for us. It's to the point now, when you have multiple relationships, one of the beautiful things is that the new women look up to your main woman for whatever reason. There's got to be some reason there. Some reason. Or, just the woman that's been around, that's helped you build what you've built. Like, wow, if she's really in love with the man, then she's got to look up to the woman that's been around. And hopefully, yes, her beauty, her elegance, her grace, her this and that. But really, she knows how to be with him. She knows how to be with him, how to keep him attracted, how to satisfy him, how to be with him. Because if she's in love with that man, then she would definitely love to see someone else model how to do it. So she can build on that. And that's what it is. That's the top student and the next student or whatever. Man, I get on all these tangents. I get lost in it. The hex of the woman. Deep, deep to the DNA and the culture. Oh, so when you have multiple relationships, your main girl, she's been with you some time and she's learned how to be with you. She is a repository of that information. She knows how to be with you. You've invested in a person. It's like an employee. You get an employee and you invest in the person. They learn how to do the skills at your job. Then you don't have to do that job and they can train the next person. You don't have to train the next person. They can train the next person. Then you train them for their next job. And down the lineage, they can train the next. So, it's the same way the other direction, like with the brainwashing of the culture by the media and the Illuminati and everything. There's such a momentum in the thinking of everybody's minds that you are bombarded left and right, up and down, front and back by every individual, every situation, every organization, by feminism, communism, all kinds of ism, socialism, that is depressing your masculinity. and you're immersed in it. And when you take the red pill, you just realize that, but that doesn't do anything about your habits and all of the bombardment from everybody. So it's not enough to just have a red pill on it. You got to keep working at that and growing that red pill and removing the blue pill over and over and over. And literally every day, you have to have a process that cleans out all the blue pill bullshit in you, because you'll accumulate it through your sleep, bro. The radio waves and shit. Like, you got to be so on it. And I think that's a tough pill to swallow. People, they want to swallow it if they want to. So there's some part of the population that has joined IMC Nation and thinks they've taken the red pill, not realizing, bro, take that red pill twice a day, every day for the next 10 years. And what does that mean? You know how it was kind of difficult to realize that? That initial red pill wasn't easy to come by. It maybe wasn't easy to accept. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Change yourself every single day, twice a day, let's say, where you make a decision because of new information that completely changes how you are and who you are. Like, let's say today, okay, I have one. It's too personal, so let me say another one. Personal about the other person. Man, they're all personal. Let's what would be an example of this? Okay. So today I made the decision to involve some other people in my business, like money making business, basically collaborate with them. I had thought of it several weeks ago. I've been chewing on the thought and I decided to pull the trigger today. Why? A decision. I made a decision and it was based on information that I had come to realize that it was like, I got to do it right now. It's the most right thing to do it right now, not in the future, not yesterday, now. And I don't have a stripper girlfriend. I had 3 girls. One was a model. One was has been with me for years. She was a yoga student and still my student. And the other one is just someone I met through whatever means. I broke up with one a few weeks ago. And then I talk to a lot of dancers. You know, I go to strip clubs a lot, but just friends, whatever, strip club friends even. Going on some dates here and there, but that's all it is. It's just fun with friends. So, let's see. Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody stays in touch, but they're living their own lives. And, I have very high standards for my life and my schedule because of my rank with IMC Nation. I am pressed to get it done more than anybody else, more than anybody else. And I tell you what, everybody else drags their feet. You might think they don't, but there's a whole team that makes it happen. I made it happen on my own for years. Are you kidding me? Maybe the multiple camera angles and this and that. Like, of course, there's some things you can do with 8 arms that you can't do with 2 arms. But in a 4-on-1 fight, 4 guys that don't know how to fight versus the world champion of world champions, and that's not what this is. But I'm just saying, by analogy, it is possible for one guy to do it, 4 guys too. And if the bottom line we're measuring is revenue, then that is what it is. But, that may be changing. And as we learn to collaborate, cooperate more, I think it's really going to explode for everybody. Because the world needs this. Men, the world over, are hypnotized under the hex of women. And that is, bolstered, which means like amplified, or, it is assisted. It's assisted by the media and the culture that has a long momentum of feminism, socialism, communism, that even if you red pill yourself, you're going to be force fed 100 blue pills before tomorrow. And if you're not vigilant, then you might swallow those and it'll change you and you just become a liberal again. And, that's what it is. So, yes, the dating event tomorrow, 6 p.m. It'll be great. Q&A. Hear how AZD translates it into higher value questions, how his rapport and trust and affection and everything with the girl is. And her answers, obviously, she'll give you an insider scoop, like no other. You couldn't trust another girl on like YouTube or whatever. Like trust with the top player, one of his girlfriends, and he's talking to her and asking her and whatever. That is, just an inside look into something that you might not be able to experience for some time. But if you study IMC tech, your game will get better, your communication skills get better, your social awareness gets better, and women need to be in relationships with men that are socially aware. So it's a given. You just keep doing it. And your value becomes so real. It's not something anybody can take away from you because it's not faked. It's not like a little trick or a gambit. It's you learned how to be high value, so you are actually of high value. You learn how to interact. And then you learn the lifestyle of how to live your life in a schedule and with activities and with brothers and friendships and how to do this thing and then how to play the game of social dynamics so that you feed your life the experiences that you want. Experience being measured by, with women, obviously, great experiences with guys are great too, but that's only going to go so far. With women, the male-female dynamic is life-giving, so it's possible to have a powerful engine, like a 0-point motor that's pulling energy out of space. That's IMC Tech, taught by AZD, and I am Yogi Chris, the minister of IMC Tech. You guys can click the link anywhere and get more involved. Daily classes, price is about to go up, so get on that. It's a daily class, 10 a.m. Pacific every day, and you get the recordings in a whole archive of recordings. It's dope. We're masterminding about game for about an hour every day. Then some advanced trainings. Of course, you could come in person to Las Vegas, go out with us, get your game calibrated, tweaked, go out with the top G and all his crew that he's trained. We know how to maneuver, and we have a great reputation in a lot of places. So it's quite an experience that you get to experience what a man could experience socially with the power and the influence, but without any of the nefarious activities. You're not a gangster. You're not a fucking mobster. You're not, you didn't become celebrity as like a rapper or an actor, which is fine to do that, but you don't get this kind of game doing that. You just get celebrity status and then you get some game given to you because you're celebrity. But, that's the money game. That's the game of culture versus the game of man, woman. Okay, everybody. Oh,